Hi, my name is Andee Bose. I'm the Director of Eligibility and Data here at School Food Solutions. And today we're going to be talking about free and reduced lunch eligibility and applications for the 24-25 school year in the state of California. So thanks for joining us. We're going to be going over a general overview of eligibility. We're going to be talking about application procedures with School Food Solutions. We're going to deep dive into what the California application looks like. We're going to do a little practice, making sure that you're able to spot issues with applications. And then we're going to wrap up and give you some contact information if you need more support. So that is our plan for this training. So starting with just a general overview of eligibility. So the big question, why do we need to do this? Under California Universal Meals, all students eat for free. So why do we have to collect meal applications? Why do we need to know if individual students are eligible for free or reduced meals? One, it's required. The USDA, in order to give you reimbursements for your meals, requires that you make applications available to families. They also require that direct certification matching is done at least 3 times per year. So again, just trying to maximize the number of students who are eligible for free or reduced meals, which kind of plays into point number 2 here. It determines where the funding for your meal reimbursements is coming from. So long story short, each meal that you claim and get a reimbursement for, you have to do based on the individual student and their status as free, reduced, or paid at the time the meal was served. The federal government will provide the largest reimbursement for free meals that are served, slightly less of a reimbursement for reduced meals that are served, and a small reimbursement amount for any full pay meals that are served. In California, the state government fills in the difference for those reduced meals and paid meals, so your school still receives the equivalent of the federal free reimbursement for all the meals served. So in short, the more students who qualify for free or reduced meals means that more money is coming from the federal government and less money is coming from the state of California. Another reason we do this is it can help your school receive LCFF and other sources of funding that are based on student eligibility. It can also help your families that are eligible qualify for benefits like summer EBT, childcare, bus passes, testing fee waivers, college application fee waivers, and so on. There's a lot that your families could qualify for based on this eligibility. So how can a student qualify for free or reduced meal eligibility? First, we're going to start by talking about with an application. So on an application, if the family reports household income below 185% of the federal poverty line, which is displayed in these charts here, then they will qualify for free or reduced. Another way that they could qualify is by listing a case number for anyone in the household that participates in a qualifying assistance program. So that can be CalFresh, also known as SNAP or Supplemental Nutrition Assistance, CalWorks, which is also known as TANF or Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, or FDPIR, which is the Federal Distribution Program on Indian Reservations. So if they can provide a case number for that on the application for anybody who lives in the house, then everyone who lives in the house can be eligible for free meals. Another way is by reporting that a student is homeless, a runaway, migrant, or a foster child. If they report these things on their application and it's confirmed by school or agency personnel, then that can also qualify a student for free meals. There are other ways that students can qualify for free or reduced meal eligibility also that don't involve applications. The most common is direct certification. In California, this is done through CalPads. Students are basically matched with state agency records of participation in one of the following assistance programs. So again, CalFresh or SNAP, CalWorks or TANF, and Medi-Cal or Medicaid. Medicaid can't be reported on an application. It can only be directly certified matched. And Medicaid benefits could qualify students for free meal benefits, or it could qualify them at the reduced level. Whereas CalFresh and CalWorks always qualify you for free meal benefits. Another way that students can qualify without an application is by a sibling extension. So if one child from a household is directly certified through any of the programs listed above, any children in that household should be getting free meals and can be extended that eligibility. And then again, situations like homelessness, runaway, migrant, or foster status, which can be pulled out of CalPADS as well, that can also qualify students directly for free meals without needing to complete an application. Once a family does create an application, or if they become directly certified, we let families know about it. So how will they know if they're eligible? School Food Solutions takes on the process of mailing home letters for each student that become directly certified, letting them know that they don't need to complete an application. And we also mail home letters for any family who completes an application. So if we process an application for them, they're going to get a letter that says, yes, you're free, yes, you're reduced, or no, you've been denied based on the information you put on the application. If they are denied, it does include information about how to appeal that decision. If you get any contacts from families that say they should have qualified, but their letter says they don't, please contact us. We can usually resolve it just by correcting an error and without needing to go through like a formal appeals process. Although we are here to support you if that does come up. And then that's how families will know if they are eligible. School personnel will know who has completed an application and who's eligible because School Food Solutions is going to send you status lists on a regular basis of all of your students and which ones are directly certified and which ones have applications on file. Another part of the eligibility process every year is verification. So this is how the USDA has outlined that you confirm that the information families are reporting on the application is accurate. So every October, this process is required. A 3% random sample of eligible applications is selected for review. So every single family does not have to provide backup documentation. It's just a small sample of applications that have been approved for free or reduced benefits. Those families will be asked to provide some kind of backup to match the information they provided on the application. So, for example, pay stubs or tax records or case proof that they are enrolled in a benefits program. If they don't respond or provide documentation that qualifies, then their status will get changed from free or reduced to a different status if need be. And again, in California, they're going to continue to be able to eat for free, but they just won't be listed as free or reduced eligible anymore. We at School Food Solutions will handle this verification process for you. We'll send you more information in September when it gets closer to the required timeline to complete it. All right. So now that we've got kind of the overview, we're going to dive into the procedures for processing applications. So School Food Solutions is your partner in this. So the first thing we want to talk about is what are we going to do for you? What part of this eligibility process is School Food Solutions handling on your behalf? So the first bit is that we provide training to any staff who will be managing applications. That's this training here. So we also create and share a compliant application packet for your school each year. That'll become available soon. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We always ensure that your school's point of sale system is configured and rostered and ready to go for the new year. When applications are submitted, we process those applications within 10 operating days of receiving them. We process those in your point of sale system so that meals for that student are updated accordingly. We'll communicate with you about any apps that we can't process with instructions on how to fix them. We also manage uploading those direct certification lists into your school's point of sale system. We generate and mail notification letters to families about their eligibility. So as we talked about, we'll mail home letters when they're directly certified or when they have a processed application. We'll send you status lists on a regular basis so that you can keep track of which students have been directly certified or have submitted an application. We answer any questions from families or school staff about applications, about eligibility. We're here to help you and to help your families. And then, of course, we manage that verification process that happens in October. So School Food Solutions is going to handle those things. So what support do we need from you at the school level? First, we need you to make the application packets available to your families. You can distribute them at back-to-school events or send home with students at the beginning of the year. You should also post a PDF of the application packets on your website so that if a family wants to get it at any time, it's always available to them. We also suggest that you have it available in your front office and anywhere else that a family might come in so that they can fill it out when they're in the building. Your school also needs to determine who's going to be responsible for collecting and managing applications and make sure that that person completes this training so that they have all the information they need. And then your school needs to develop a system to review, scan, and store applications. We ask that when you get an application that you do a quick check to make sure that it meets all the requirements. We'll give you more information about that in a sec. And if anything's missing, follow up with families so that you can get a complete application. We ask that you scan complete applications to School Food Solutions in batches every day as they are received. So if you get one application, send it in. If you get 10 applications, send them all in. We don't want you holding on to them for long. We need them sent as soon as they come in. Once a day is fine. And then you need to have a process to store the original paper applications that you've gotten in a secure location. So we'll talk a little bit more about each of those steps in a second. We also need your school or network to send direct certification extracts from CalPads monthly to School Food Solutions. Those become available at the beginning of every month, and you can send those to us and we'll make sure that they get into your point of sale system. So let's talk about these different things, starting with the application packet itself. So in addition to the actual application where families fill out their information, there is a letter to household and an instruction sheet included with the form. You need to provide families the entire packet. When we send you your packet, please review it for accuracy. We are going to list the current school year and your school name at the top of the application form. The letters and the instructions are going to include information about your school's determining official and hearing official. So we want to make sure that the addresses, names, phone numbers that are in this letter are correct. So we ask that you check those for accuracy when we send them your way. Another thing to know is that families need to use the current year's application to qualify for benefits in the current school year. So if somebody turns in a form from an older year, please ask them to complete a new one. And we provide the application packet in English and in Spanish by default. If you do need a different translation for your population, let us know, and we will put one together for you. Along with your application packet, we're going to provide you with some reference materials that you guys could use in processing applications. The first of those is this quick check guide. So we ask that you print this out, have it accessible wherever applications are being reviewed. It's going to give you a reminder of all the different parts of the application and what things to look for, such as a valid case number, income frequency listed clearly, number of household members matching the number of names on the application, the social security requirement, a current signature, a current date. This is kind of the list of things to check for as you review applications. So we're going to give you this document so you can always refer back to that. We're also going to get into that in more detail later on in this training. All right, scanning applications. We're going to provide this procedural reference page for your team. This is another thing that you can print out and have accessible wherever applications are being reviewed. Maybe do a front and back with the quick check, if that makes sense. We ask that you scan all applications that you've checked in batches to School Food Solutions ASAP. So what I mean by batches is no need to save these as individual files and send them. You can make a pile of them and scan them together as one PDF with multiple applications in it. And the other really important thing is don't hold on to applications for multiple days. If you receive them and they're ready to go, send them to us that day. We need to process them within a 10-day window to be compliant. And we work with, lots of schools. So the sooner you get it to us, the better it is that we can make sure that we meet that compliance window. When you're sending us the files, we ask that you include your school name and the date, the current date, in the file name and the email subject. And then if you're sending more than one batch on the same day, so for example, you had a back to school event, filled out, got a lot of applications and you can't scan them all in at once, but you need to do it in batches, include like a batch number. So below here is a naming convention for that. It's school name dot month, day, year dot batch number if applicable. But again, if you're just sending one batch per day, just the school name and the date is fine. And then applications should be scanned and emailed to this address here, forms@schoolfoodsolutions.org. I'll say that again, it's forms, FORMS, at schoolfoodsolutions.org. All right. And then once the applications are scanned, you need to store them somewhere secure in your building. Original applications need to be kept on file for 3+ years, 3 years at least, because they could be requested in an audit. We recommend storing them alphabetically, like by student last name, in folios like the ones you see here, these kind of like alphabetized folios. You could also use a binder. We suggest using page protectors instead of hole punching the originals. That would be great. We want to kind of maintain the integrity of the original paper as much as we can. We also ask that you don't store the original applications in individual student cumulative folders, because that can make it really hard to pull them all together when it's time for an audit. So if you want them in the student folder, please make a copy and put the copy in the folder and keep all the original applications for the school year stored in one place together. All right. The last bit about things that we need to be able to qualify as many students as possible are your CalPADS direct certification lists. So someone on your school's team should be designated as your CalPADS person. We ask that they pull the direct certification extract out of CalPADS monthly, if at all possible. It's usually available between like the 7th and the 10th of each month. It has to be done at least 3 times a school year, but again, we prefer to do it monthly if we can. And that first direct certification list of the year, which comes out in July, is the most important. So we need to make sure that we get that July one as soon as possible. Just like with application forms that you're scanning, you can email direct certification files to forms@schoolfoodsolutions.org. If you don't want to send them as an attachment in an email, we will provide a secure Dropbox link that you can upload the files to. We send out reminder requests with that Dropbox link to you each month as well. We can also use the following list to qualify eligible students. So as we talked about the direct certification extract, we definitely need that one. And then once a year at least, it's good for you to also send us the 5.5 homeless list and the 5.7 foster list. which are reports out of CalPADS that would list any students qualifying for homeless or foster meal benefits. And then, as I mentioned before, on a regular basis, as we're processing applications, as we do uploads of direct certifications, we're going to send your school team what we call status list, which is a list of your students and their eligibilities. Students who are highlighted in yellow means that they do not have a processed application or a direct certification on file. So those are the folks that we don't have anything for, and their eligibility will be set to paid or full pay for the current school year. Students who are highlighted in green have been qualified as eligible for reduced meals through Medicaid direct certification. Technically speaking, families could also submit an application, and if that application qualifies them for free, that'll kind of override the reduced eligibility. So that's why they're highlighted in green. Students that are not highlighted at all, the students whose background is white, have a processed application or a direct certification status on file for the year. So no further action is needed from them. When we send these lists, I ask that you review them closely. One of the things we want you to review for is sibling connections. So as I mentioned before, if one student in the household qualifies for free or reduced meals, all students who share that same household should qualify for the same benefits. And so sometimes when an application is turned in, we might miss a sibling connection, or when a direct certification is uploaded, if those students aren't connected by address or something else in your point of sale, we might miss a connection. So we ask that if you see any siblings who have mismatched statuses, so one is, highlighted yellow and one is white, let us know so that we can extend those benefits to everybody in the household. If you notice any other discrepancies, things that don't make sense when you're going through the list, please let us know. We want to be able to fix everything and make sure that your statuses are accurate as possible. A few important dates to know about. We will send you your application packets for the new year once this training is complete and you've completed the post-training quiz, and once your student roster is updated in your point of sale for the new year. So once we know that we've got a good list of students and you've completed this training, we'll send you those applications so that you can start sharing them with your families. The other thing is that we can't release the applications to families prior than July 1st every summer. So that's another date. You don't want to share the application before July 1st. And if your school uses online applications, those will become available on July 1st. Another important date is July 10th, as I mentioned before. This is usually when that first direct certification list is available. The sooner we get this, the better. That helps us to process applications faster. The more students that we have directly certified at the beginning, the faster the application processing goes. Another thing to know about is the 30-day carryover. So students have 30 operating days to complete a new application for the new school year. So basically, if they were free or reduced last school year, they will stay free or reduced for the first 30 days of the current school year. So it's important that School Food Solutions has a copy of your current school year calendar, so that we can calculate when that 30-day rollover window needs to end. It's also important for you to know on those early status lists, you may see students who are highlighted in yellow but have a status of free or reduced. That's because their status is from last year and will expire soon. So you still want to try and get a new application for those folks. The other important date to keep in mind is October 1st is when the verification process starts. So that's when we'll start reaching out to the families that are selected to provide proof of their income. And again, we'll give you more information about that when it gets closer to October. On your food service or school website, you do need to post a link to your school's application packet. We want to make sure that it's clear that this application is easily available to families. Again, if you do use online applications, you also want to link to where they can fill out the online application. There are also some additional links you need to include. We're going to send you these links when we send you your application, your paper application packet. But this is just a kind of a screenshot from the CDE website about those links. But this is only if you use online applications. If your families are filling out applications online, then there's some additional things you have to include on your website. All right, so now we're going to dive into the California application in detail to make sure that you're familiar with all the different parts and pieces and what's required in each of them. So the template looks like this. It has 4 sections or steps that families are required to complete. They actually only need to complete 3 out of the 4. They need to complete step 1, either step 2 or step 3, and then everybody needs to complete step 4. School staff do not need to write anything on these applications in most cases. The only exception there would be if you need to make a correction for a family, and we'll get into how to do that a little bit later. So let's dive into step 1, the top of the application. Step 1, we kind of zoomed into it here at the bottom. This is where the families can list all the children living in the household. The form says student information, but this just means children. So even if they don't currently attend a school. For each child, there is a space to also list school name, grade, date of birth. These things are very helpful to help us identify the student in your system, but they're not required for the application to be complete. They do just need to have a clearly written name. That's all that's absolutely required. There's also a space to check if the student listed is foster, homeless, migrant, or runaway. These situations, if the student doesn't qualify by another means, like direct certification or the income listed on the app or a case number listed on the app, we may have to reach out to you to confirm if the student is foster, homeless, migrant, or runaway. So if those boxes are checked, that's not an automatic guarantee of free status. It depends on what else they put on the application and if those situations can be confirmed by the school. Step 2, right below where they list the students, is the option for assistance programs. So if someone in the household, anyone who lives in the household, receives benefits from one of the assistance programs listed there, CalFresh, CalWorks, or FDPIR, they can check the box for which of those programs it is, and they need to enter a case number into the form. The case number format depends on the county and which program it is, but it's usually like an 8 or 9 digit code, sometimes a mix of letters and numbers. What it shouldn't be, and a common mistake, is it should not be a 16-digit number. That sometimes people put the number on their debit card that they get from the program. That is not an acceptable number. So if you do see a 16-digit number that looks like it came off a debit card, that you're going to need to reach out to them and ask for the case number instead. Case numbers are usually listed on the enrollment paperwork when you get benefits from the program. So if they complete step 2, enter a case number, then they can totally skip the next step and proceed to step 4 to sign the application. So a family doesn't have to do step 2 and step 3. They do step 2 or step 3. Step 3 is reporting on income. So if they skip step 2, they don't have anybody in their house on those assistance programs, they need to list household income. Part A of this involves student income. Most of the time this is left blank, and that's totally fine. If something is listed there, we want to make sure that they didn't accidentally total up all the adult income and write it there instead. This should just be if students that were listed in part 1 have their own source of income that provides to the household. then it can be like totaled up and listed here. Again, most of the time this is going to be blank. Part B is kind of the meat and potatoes of the application. This is where each household adult, their name should be listed along with their income amounts and frequencies. So they do need to list all household members, even if they don't have an income. If they don't have an income, we prefer that they write 0. But if they leave it blank, we're going to assume that they mean no income. They should also be reporting their gross income. So this means their income before any deductions and taxes come out of it, not their like take-home pay amount. And then next to each income area, there's a place for how often or the frequency. And this is important that they have, whenever they write a number, there's also a clear frequency with that number. They're able to write their income however they want. So they can write a weekly, bi-weekly, or every 2 weeks, twice a month, monthly, or yearly. And there's a code for that. And then they also need to write the total household count. That's down in part C here. This number, whatever they write in the total household count, needs to match the number of names on the form, adults and children. So step 1, step 3, add everybody together. It should equal the number that they wrote for the total household count. And if it doesn't, then we need to figure out why. And then the last part of step 3 is the social security number requirement. So they have the option to enter the last 4 digits of an adult household member, so the primary wage earner or any other adult, or they can check the no social security number box. Either option is fine. So step 3 again has the most things to check if they fill it out, because it's where they can list income, a bunch of different sources. So, and there's multiple parts to step 3. So this is where you want to spend some time when you're reviewing the application. And then step 4 is where they sign and date the form. So all that's absolutely required in step 4 is the signature, the name, and a current date. So we want to make sure that the date is not like somebody's birthday or like an older, like a form from a previous year. And then we want to make sure if they completed step 3 where they listed household members, the person signing the form should be somebody from step 3. It needs to be one of those household members. It can't be signed by a student, and it can't be signed by somebody outside of the household. The contact info, like phone number, address, email, that is optional. If they fill it out, great. We will take that into account when we're processing the letter that goes to the family. But if they leave it blank, it's okay. We can still proceed with the application. There's also an optional box in the bottom right of the form where families can report on their children's ethnic and racial identities. It's not required, but they can fill that out and check the boxes that apply if they want to. In the state of California, we also provide the Spanish translation of the app. It has the same 4 steps, paso 1, paso 2, paso 3, y paso 4, but it takes up 2 pages instead of 1 page. So it's super important if you get a Spanish application back that you make sure that you have that back page and that you scan that back page to us, because that's where step 4, the signature, is. So again, on step 4, it's important that they have the signature, their name, and the current date. Otherwise, the application is exactly the same. You should be able to kind of check it using the same criteria, even if you don't speak Spanish. But it's just really important that we get that signature page as well. So we've covered what families have to put on the application. Now we're going to talk about what about school officials. Usually, you don't need to write anything on the applications. School Food Solutions is going to complete that gray school use only box at the bottom on the scanned copies that we receive from you. If your school goes through an administrative review or an audit, we will help you to fill out that box on the original applications, but you do not need to fill it out as you're processing the applications. We also ask that you don't mark up the original applications with any kind of like date stamps about when they were received or scanned. No kind of like notations that they were, processed. We want to try and keep the originals as clean as possible, so that way when an audit does come, we can make sure that they're done properly for the audit. The only exception to this not writing on the applications rule is if corrections need to be made. So if an application is missing some required data or has some unclear or conflicting information, you at the school can and should reach out to the family to get corrections. So you can, if they're, turning it in and you notice it and they're still there, you can get them to fix it right away. Or you can call the family and ask for the info that you need and fill it in on their behalf. So if something is incorrect or duplicate, you can just draw a single line through it. Be very careful. We don't want to put any whiteout or correction tape on an application, and we don't want to completely obscure what was originally written. So no need to like fully scratch it out. Just a single line is good. And then next to that, you can write the correction or the accurate information in as close as possible to where it should go on the form. And then add your initials and the date that you got the corrected information from the family. So it's important that, anything that you as a school official write on the form, or if a family comes back and makes a correction, that's initialed and dated when the correction happened. All right. So that was the deep dive into the applications. So now we're going to do a little quick check practice. We're going to test your skills now that you've kind of gotten into the application and see if you can spot the issues with these fake applications that we've set up for you. All right. So on this first application, we've got the Nope Wyatt family. They've listed their children here at the top. They've listed adults. They've listed some earnings. They've signed it. They've dated it. So my question to you is, what is missing from this application? There's something that would keep us from being able to process it. All right. What we're missing here is the frequency. So they both wrote $100,000 next to their name, but they didn't say how often. We might assume that that's yearly, but we do need to confirm that with the family. You may have also noticed, if you have a keen eye, that this date is not an accurate date. That would also be a problem. But let's assume this was a 2024 date instead of 2021. All right. So again, anytime somebody lists an income in any of these buckets, earnings from work or public assistance or pensions, there needs to be an amount and a frequency. And we need to be able to read that frequency code based on what's written up here. All right, let's try another one. So now we have the Rose family. We've got two children, Alex and David, and their father, Johnny. What is the issue with this application? Again, let's pretend that this date is 2024. All right. So I see we've got a Social Security, we've got a signature, we've got something written here, even though it's $0, that's still acceptable. But something is a problem, and the problem is the total household members is listed as 4, but I'm only seeing 3 folks. So who's missing? In this case, this would be when you could call the family and say, you wrote that there were 4 total household members, but there were only 3 people written on the form. Is there someone you forgot to list? If so, you can write them, where it belongs, either as a student at the top or as an adult at the bottom. If it's an adult household member, you need to ask about income and write that in as well. And then the application, again, you want to initial and date next to that correction, and then you can scan it in. If they just messed up and wrote 4 but should have written 3, you would just draw a line through 4, write the number 3, initial and date. All right, now we've got a Spanish application. So again, this is 2 pages. So we've got the first page and then the top of the second page here. What issues are we seeing? It is signed on the second page. They've got their students listed here. But we're missing a lot of info, aren't we? Yeah. So one thing I noticed is that they did check this CalFresh box, but they didn't include a case number. So the quickest way to solve this or to make this application complete is to get that case number. If someone in the house does get CalFresh benefits, call the family, get that case number, then this is a complete application because we've got step 1, step 2, and step 4. So even though step 3 is only partially filled out, it's okay. If for some reason they don't have a case number, then you're going to have to ask for all the info that would go into step 3. Everybody's income, total number of households, social security number, etc. The other thing that's off with this one is that it is an older form. So again, you want to make sure, especially if you've been collecting application forms for multiple years, that folks aren't using an older format of the form, that they're using the one that's dated 2024, 2025. All right. So that was our overview of applications and the process here with School Food Solutions. We want you to know that we are here to support you. So how can you get support if you have questions? If you have any questions about applications, eligibility, direct certifications, rosters, anything at all, you can email the School Food Solutions eligibility team using that same email where you send the apps to, forms@schoolfoodsolutions.org. That's like our help desk email. We will answer you as soon as we can. We also have phone lines available if you have families that have questions about how to complete their app. You can give them this phone number, 877-633-2373. They can choose extension 2 for help with applications in English or extension 4 for help in Spanish. If you need more support than you're getting from emailing forms or by calling this number, you can always reach out to me. Again, I'm the Director of Data and Eligibility. My name is Andee, Andee, at schoolfoodsolutions.org. You can also contact your client manager, Ryan Gomes. His email is ryan@schoolfoodsolutions.org. So we are here to help you however you need. If you have any questions, please let us know. We are going to be sending this training along with a short quiz to test your understanding. So please complete that quiz so that we know that you've completed this training, and then we can get your application packet to you very soon. All right, I appreciate you. Have a lovely day, and please let us know if you need anything else.